This is Alexander with TacoStreetLocating.com, and this is my ultimate guide on East Austin when it comes to neighborhoods and apartments that you might be interested in renting. So if you're interested in moving to East Austin and finding an apartment there, then this will be the video for you. I'm going to review East Austin, why you would want to consider it, and the different areas within East Austin and the different lifestyles within each neighborhood, the pros and cons, my personal experience living in East Austin. So by the end of this guide, you are going to have a comprehensive understanding of East Austin, the subregions of the neighborhood, and the apartment complexes in each area that'll help you decide where to live. So, just to zoom out and explain East Austin overall and the context that it has in the city. So here you have downtown Austin, which most of my clients are interested in moving when they're coming from out of town. They want to live in the core of the city, and they don't really know the city very well. And I did another guide on downtown Austin in another video, which you can see. But for a lot of people that want the urban, like, core experience, but don't want to pay downtown prices, usually look at either South Austin here in the 7704 area and East Austin, which covers a lot of different areas, and we'll get to all of them. But mostly this, like, central East Austin, East Cesar Chavez, that's where most of my clients wind up moving to, that want something that's close to downtown but not in downtown. And I've been living in Austin for 11 years total now. And over those 11 years, I've spent the last 8 years in East Austin. And personally, it's my favorite neighborhood. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else in Austin. It's my favorite place to be. It has in my opinion, the best food scene, the best collection of things to do, a lot of great communities to plug into, some great nature trails to access. And for me, it is the most complete and comprehensive neighborhood in Austin, or collection of neighborhoods, to the point where personally I don't really need any other part of Austin other than maybe Barton Springs in South Austin for me to be happy living here, because everything I do and experience in Austin is going to be on the east side. So, that being said, let's get into all of the subregions and apartments in East Austin to get you a more zoomed in understanding on what's going on. So, zooming into my personal favorite area is this East 11th corridor, where I used to live for 4 years. And it's my favorite part of Austin because it's right next to a lot of, like, things to do, like downtown East 6, and there's a lot of stuff on East 11th. So it's very lively. There's a ton of stuff to do in terms of bars and restaurants and food trucks. And it's also very calm in a way that you don't get when you're inside downtown. Whereas this kind of central East Austin area, just east, like northeast of this area, is just a very cozy, quiet, relaxing place to walk around. When I lived there, during the pandemic, I would spend almost like an hour and a half every single day just walking around this neighborhood, just enjoying the scenery and the energy that's all around here. So I really loved my time here. So for people looking for an urban, walkable, active experience that want downtown access and proximity to a lot of things, but want something that's more dialed back and chill and calm, this East 11th corridor is a fantastic balance of all these different energies. And also, just In terms of practicality, being on along Highway I-35 is very useful to go north and south, and to go east and west is also very easy because you just cut along West 11th through downtown, past the Capitol, and that makes it really easy to get to like Zilker, Barton Springs over here. Uh, so this this cluster of buildings along 35, it's also just very practical to get around town because of the highway access. So now to zoom into the buildings, I put in, technically these are two downtown buildings, the Waller and the Alexan Waterloo, but since they are kind of all together in this one cluster, they're just worth talking to together. So both of these two are going to be downtown, kind of high end, really expensive high rises because they're in downtown. They're high rises. Both are really nice. Both are very aesthetic. Um, Alexan Waterloo has some really beautiful like rooftop amenities, a great gym, rooftop pool, really big floor plans, especially large one bedroom floor plans from so for some good like work from home space. Then you have the Waller, which is like even nicer, more aesthetic, but their floor plans tend to be a bit small. So I don't have a lot of people that choose the Waller. Uh, Between these two, I would say the Alexan Waterloo is more popular. Then you have these two mid rises, the 11 and the Amley East Side. Both are pretty well rated. They're above 4.0. Generally, I tend to skew towards buildings that are above 4.0. Maybe with some exceptions, but these two pair well together because they're going to be similarly priced. The 11 has a really great rooftop deck, a great dog park. Kind of lacks in overall aesthetics, but it's like that solid upper mid level quality. Whereas Amley East Side is a little bit more dated, but they have really big floor plans that and tend to be a great uh, value for the size. And between these two, the Amley East Side is more popular for my clients. And amongst these five, my personal favorite and the most popular amongst my clients is the Avenir. This is my favorite building, probably in Austin, ever since it opened up. They have great reviews, a solid management team I've been working with for years. They have two pools, an indoor basketball court, on-site dog park, um, a, like really great like dog spa amenities, and great like walking proximity to this neighborhood. And it's it's a downtown quality building in terms of like how it feels inside with all of the amenities, but it's going to be cheaper than almost everything else in downtown of similar quality. And for here, I tend to like the units that face east more than I like the ones facing west. The ones facing west have a really nice downtown view, but in my opinion and just my observation, tend to be a little bit loud from the highway noise of 35. And the ones facing east have a less dramatic but a much more peaceful, quiet view of the entire neighborhood. So I like the ones facing east because it's a lot quieter and calmer. So that wraps up the East 11th corridor. So then let's go a little bit further south to the main core of East Austin, this cluster of apartments. So this is going to have the most stuff in East Austin. This is going to have like Whole Foods, Target, and a whole ton of bars and restaurants. Like here, the strip along East 6th just has a ton of bars. It's a very socially active scene. A lot of nightlife happening, but more like the bar nightlife instead of the nightclub nightlife. But it's a really great social area in terms of doing a lot of things. So if you're coming here and you want to be kind of in the middle of a lot of the action, you want immediate proximity to things, then this cluster of apartments is going to be the most compelling for you. So to start, Um, the Corazon here is all of these buildings are going to be fairly similar in terms of they're all going to be mid rises. They're all going to be roughly similar quality. The major differences are going to be with the management companies, amenities, and like overall newness. The Corazon, it's comparatively now a little bit older. Like this is always going to pair with the Saltillo, and the Saltillo is nicer in pretty much every respect. The amenities are better, the pools are better, but the Corazon does have better reviews than the Saltillo. I do know the Saltillo has um, a really annoying like package delivery system. I think they still have it called Fetch, and I just don't like it. How that one works, it just makes things overly complicated. But this also is my most popular building in the entire city of Austin because the walkability for the pricing is really, really hard to beat. So a lot of my clients accept like the lower reviews and just take advantage of how good like the pricing and specials are for what I would argue is the most walkable part of Austin. I would even say like this part of East Austin is more walkable and functionally walkable than most things in downtown. Because a lot of downtown is you have like a lot of residential buildings, but you also have a lot of hotels and government buildings and corporate offices and the convention center that's currently being worked on here. So there's a really big mix of commercial and residential use cases for downtown, whereas East Austin, specifically this strip of East Austin, is heavily geared towards the residential experience. So almost everything here is geared for residents rather than big companies or hotels. So you do have hotels and some offices, but this area is overwhelmingly catered towards people who live in apartments. So that's why I think this area is overall more functional for a walkable local experience. So back to the buildings. Corazon, it's just solid. Nothing like good or bad about it. Where I guess one con compared to the Saltillo has free parking, and the Corazon you're paying like an extra, I think like 75 for a spot. Um, Again, the Saltillo just has nicer kind of everything, but just not as good reviews. So then going a little bit further down, there's this cluster of buildings here, the Central, the Arnold, and the East Side Station. The Central I kind of just don't like because um, the floor plans are really small and they're pretty overpriced in my opinion, and they don't have nearly the same level of amenities in terms of gym and pool as do the Arnold and East Side Station. My number two pick of these three would be East Side Station. Um, Good pricing, good spaces. Nothing really. There's nothing that stands out about East Side Station. Um, I like the Arnold of these three. I like the Arnold the most because it's just a more aesthetic, more interesting building. It is going to be um, the review. I guess it depends. Like the reviews lately seem to be a little bit problematic. So whereas East Side Station does have better reviews, the Arnold it kind of just is a cooler building, but it's going to be worth digging into the reviews over like the last 6 months to get more of the story. Um, so Arnold is going to be a little bit more center of the worldy, or has a lot more going on in the immediate proximity. Whereas East Side Station feels like it's just behind the Arnold, so it's going to be a quieter location. But overall, the both are going to be fairly similar. Then we have 7 East, a little bit further down. 7 East is very much a middle of the road building that doesn't really win or lose in any category. They have a really nice dog park, decent rooftop deck, decent gym. The only downside is 7 East is right on East 7th, and there's a lot of traffic here on East 7th. So units that are right along the road may get some road noise, which isn't ideal. Overall, I don't have a ton of people choose 7 East, not because it's bad, it just tends to not really win in any categories. Then going further down the edge of this part of East 6 is quieter, calmer, has less businesses, less things in the immediate proximity, but it's still very walkable, very urban. Um, East Six, it's a really nice building. It's a smaller community than something like the Arnold, so it feels a little bit more high end. Um, it is along this train tracks, and it's mostly for the local electric train. Um, that doesn't get used a ton by locals, but sometimes there is the louder freight train that comes by here, which can be annoying, and some units do have like immediate proximity to that. It's not a huge part of living here, but it's just something worth knowing about. I've had a decent amount of people move in here, so, because it does have a good balance of price and quality and walkable, but not in the middle of everything walkable. So that's a solid one. And here's kind of like a one that's like a curveball location is the Weaver. Uh, the reviews are not very good. Um, but this location is really interesting because it's right along Lady Bird Lake. So you could just walk outside and you have the river and the trails right here, which makes it very compelling if you want something that's off center, but a great location for the trails and the lake and the walkability and that kind of walkability. But the pricing tends to be pretty good. Is pretty good, but the reviews are not. So I don't have a lot of people that move here, but it's one just that's worth knowing about. So we're gonna go deeper into East Austin now, where this is like where I live, all in this area where I spend most of my life out here, and this part of East Austin is not going to be as walkable. So there are a lot of restaurants kind of like in this general area, but it's not nearly as walkable as this core of East Austin is. And this is going to be so this is area you will definitely want to have a car just to get around. But if you do have a car and you don't mind being in an area that's not like hyper walkable, then you could save a lot of money just in terms of cheaper rents and still get higher quality buildings than you would in the core of East Austin for less money. So I find this part of deeper East Austin an extremely compelling area to live. Um, and again, I'm personally biased because I live here and I have a great lifestyle out in this neighborhood. My gym is around here. Squatch Frontier Fitness is somewhere around here. It's a great community gym. You have the Austin Bouldering Project, which is a massive rock climbing bouldering gym. You have this Southern Walnut Creek Greenbelt Trail that goes really deep out further into East Austin. That's an 8 mile trail, and I go on it. I go on this all the time. I love it. I think it's a super underrated park, super underrated trail. And for people that love to run and bike or just go on long walks like me, then this is a fantastic local amenity that just doesn't get nearly the same kind of attention that Ladybird Lake does. So, and you still have a really good collection of restaurants and neighborhood bars that don't get nearly the same amount of like tourist out of town attention. So, all of this is going to feel much more local and cozy than something that's closer to downtown would. So, that being said, we can get into the buildings covered. 6. So, the Guthrie, super nice. mid-rise building in like this cozy neighborhood right next to my gym. So a lot of the guys I work out with live here. The Guthrie has great amenities. It's a really solid building. I wish they paid more in commission, but such is the way of the world. And it is a building that's worth talking about. And yeah, it's a really cool part of Austin and worth knowing about. Great reviews. A little bit further down, we have the Lennox on 7th. Also has great reviews. Um, and I like this building a lot. Super nice. The main downside, it's along 7th Street, which is a pretty busy street. And there's just a lot of traffic right there. But on the other side of the building, it's just like a very quiet, cozy neighborhood. So I would personally prefer something that's an interior facing unit or something that biases towards facing north. But the amenities are great. The pool is great. I think this is a great option if you don't mind driving a little bit to get around. Um, Here's a brand new building that's in the process of opening up. I haven't even like been there yet or know if they're even doing tours yet. Is the Lyrica. Um, and I don't like this location um, because this is right along 7th Street, and it's kind of like in this tucked along here, and it's just like really tucked in by really busy roads. Like this road is the beginning of a highway that takes you towards the airport, and you kind of have to go like a little bit farther out to get stuff. Um, and there's not a ton of things to walk to in this immediate area. You could go a few blocks out here for a small cluster of things. So I don't know how the building itself is quite yet. That is to be determined. But the location it makes me a little nervous. But we'll see. Then you have the Nexus East, which is a similar location. It's a little bit of a better location compared to Lyrica because it's a little bit more has slightly less immediate adjacency to these big highways, but like not by that much. But the building is really nice. It's super well priced. It's all of these buildings like East Point, Nexus East, Lyrica. They're going to be the same in terms of like really nice, brand new, where you don't have like great walkability, but you do have great commute ability if you're going, especially if you're commuting like out east over to where like the Tesla Gigafactory is, or you're going towards the airport, or you travel a lot, then this is a very functional location just in terms of getting around town. So all of these buildings, you can get great pricing for super high quality and great commute ability and great access to the rest of East Austin. But that this immediate area itself isn't like super compelling for the everything that's in the immediate area. So on to East Point. Uh, this really just fits in these other three buildings. They're all pretty much the same. Uh, I would probably avoid units that are right on top of the road, but it's not going to be that. It's not going to be super loud because the traffic here there's a lot, but it's not like that aggressive. Um, East Point, the prices are really good. The amenities are, yeah, they're all pretty much the same. So at this cluster of buildings, it's mostly more about talking about the location of all of these than the actual amenities themselves, because they're all going to have pools and gyms, and everything's going to be nice and modern. So everything's going to kind of blend in. So then we have this cluster: Trailhead East, and Broadstone East End. Of these three, the Trailhead East is the nicest and the newest. It's my favorite. They have a really great on site co working space, great community space. And all of these have like perfect proximity to this park and trail. Trailhead and Trailhead East are going to be right on top of this Goval neighborhood park, whereas the East End is going to be a little bit further away. But I spend a lot of time on this trail, like I mentioned before. So I really like these buildings. For the Trailhead East, the only units that I don't like are the ones kind of on this southwest edge of the building because they face like Balm Road, and there's like a lot of like cables and wirings over here. But mostly everything else in the building is going to be just fine. The units that face here, that face the park from out here, are really fantastic because it's super cozy and quiet, and like a lot of green space view. So that would be my pick in best case scenario. Then we have the Trailhead. These are not the same company. They're not the same owners. Doesn't make sense. This seems like I would have imagined someone would have sued someone over the naming, but that's not my business. Trailhead, very similar building to Trailhead East. It's a little bit older, and um, the pool is nice. The gym is nice. Like all else equal, the Trailhead East is going to be a little bit nicer. And I like it a little bit more, but these buildings are so similar. It's hard to like. Actually, one important difference now that I think about it, it's the Trailhead. Most of the parking is going to be outdoor, like uncovered parking, whereas the Trailhead East is going to be covered garage parking, which is a little bit better because you don't have to have your car outside in Texas summer heat, and it's a little bit more secure. But that being said, they're going to be effectively the same building. Then we have the Broadstone East End, which is one of my best friends lives here, likes it a lot. The pricing is extremely good here, so the value is really good. And this entire area in this deeper part of East Austin is pretty just nice and cozy and neighborhoody, calm, quiet, peaceful. Um, it is bringing up. It's worth bringing up. One point is that this path is on the way to the airport, so you will have a lot of like constant plane noise just going back and forth from here. So that is going to impact your lifestyle here. Like I've been living here for 4 years now, and I deal with the planes every day, and it's just not a big deal anymore. I thought it was going to be a big deal, but it's not. It's fine. um, so that's just one thing to be aware of. The Broadstone East End, same amenities and qualities as everything else. This one is going to win if they have really good pricing, which they often do. So I've had a good amount of people move there. Moving along, we have the Goodwin and Springdale East. Springdale, Pearl, Springdale, and the Goodwin, which is closer to where I live. So both of these buildings are super nice. I drive by both of them every day, but I kind of don't like their locations because both are along Airport Boulevard, and with the Goodwin, you're just flanked by pretty busy streets. And same thing with Pearl Springdale. Um, Whereas Pearl Springdale has a little bit of an advantage when it comes to location because it's right on top of Springdale General, which has like coffee shops and restaurants and places to hang out. Kind of in a slightly closer proximity, but it's effectively the same location. Actually, the pin should be here for the Goodwin. So they're right next to each other. Goodwin is not here. It's right here. Just figure that out. So both the Goodwin is a little bit older, I think only from like 2024, so still very new. Pearl Springdale is brand new, February 2026. It's both of these are super nice. I haven't been to the Pearl Springdale just yet since they're still in the process of opening, but from what I see, it's really nice so far. You just will be making a little bit of a sacrifice when it comes to location because there's not a ton that's compelling in this immediate area. And sometimes this little cluster of stuff around here can feel like a little bit sketchy. Um, Overall, I do like this location more. We have like the trailhead buildings more than I do this area, but we'll see what the pricing looks like and how that plays a competitive role. Out here, this edge building, you have the Laurel, which the building is just like all the others. I just don't like this location because it's on the other side of 183. So to get in and out of the building, you have to uh, get on the highway, which is just not ideal in my opinion. But the building itself is nice. It's fine. There's no issues with it. So I don't have a lot of people move into the Laurel. Like the Laurel could make sense if you commute out to deep East Austin out here, but you want to be close to Austin to have the proximity. In that sense, it could be a compelling option. So then getting back closer to downtown, we have the MLK Manor Cherrywood area, which are these two parallel streets running west to east that have a good cluster of apartments to choose from. Um, and this area, I've had a lot of friends that live here, and I think this area is also very compelling because Manor, we have buildings like the Starlight and the Elon East. It's right along the Cherrywood neighborhood, which is a super cute local vibey neighborhood. I think this is one of the best places in Austin to live here in Cherrywood. So it's a great, fantastic neighborhood. It's not nearly as busy as the core of East Austin. And on Manor Road, you have a lot of fantastic restaurants like Salty Sal, Bird Biscuit, Dai Due, which is my favorite in this area, Bar Toti, which is fantastic. So you get a lot of like cozy neighborhood energy along here. And you also have this cool like mini trail that starts where like the rail and the platform are. You have this cool trail that just snakes through here in Rosewood and takes you all the way through the Barton Creek Greenbelt. So this is also part of my experience living kind of close to this area, where I'll go for a walk like all the way up into these green belts and just go for like a really nice, cozy neighborhood stroll. Now I like this larger trail more for what I do, but this is also a great area. So, in with this cluster of buildings, pricing tends to be much better than the core of East Austin. It's maybe a little bit more expensive than like where the Trailhead and deeper East Austin buildings are, but very comparable. So this is going to be an area you should consider if you want like one uh, budget range lower than the core of East Austin. So of all these buildings, right now the Elon East is probably the strongest. The reviews are the best. The building is very nice. It's a little bit older than some of these other buildings, but it holds its quality really well. And one of my best friends just signed a lease there. Um, and I like this building a lot. It's solid, it's nice, it's aesthetic, it's well priced, and there's this really cool brand new uh, food truck, coffee shop, cocktail lounge combo with the Long Goodbye, Santa Barbacha for tacos, and Fleet Coffee here. And this little vintage store is a really great addition to this neighborhood. So then next door, you have the Starlight, and the Starlight is really nice, really pretty, and the reviews are terrible. So I don't bring people here anymore. I don't know what the hell happened with their management team, but something went wrong, and and they want to be more expensive than everything else here, so it just doesn't really make sense. Um, Going a little bit further down, we have the Block Yard, which I need to highlight quickly here. This one is very nice. I'll click it. Guess I'm not going to click it. The Block Yard, very new, very nice, great amenities. It's a little bit more modern and high end than Elon East platform, MLK Highline, and the rail. This is going to be the nicest of this cluster of four along MLK. So I like this place a lot. It's going to be a little bit more expensive, but it's also going to be better than these others here. So then we have the MLK Highline. I'm not a huge fan of this one because they just don't have amenities. They don't have a gym. They don't have a pool. They barely have anything. So uh, it's just apartments, and it's one of the only buildings in Austin that's like that. So the units are fine. They're great. If you don't care about amenities at all, and you want something that's like nice and for a good value, then this is going to be a good one to have on your radar. So platform is like the best budget option for this area. Um, the reviews aren't great, and it is mostly outdoor parking as opposed to garage parking. But the pricing here tends to be very, very good. So you could pay, just have a really good price for walkability location. And overall, if I was to choose living on Manor or MLK, I would want to be close towards Manor because there's just more stuff, but it's still close enough. Also, shout out to KG Barbecue here because this place is sick. It's some Egyptian barbecue legend. So yeah, just go there, and anytime I have someone coming in town that wants barbecue, I personally take them here because they can get like classic Texas barbecue, but with like a really cool, fun Egyptian twist. Anyways, this is about apartments, not barbecue. So then you have the rail, which is right next to platform. The rail is one of these like micro unit buildings that is great if you don't care about size and you just want to optimize for price and walkability and proximity to downtown. They've got some amenities, nothing much. And I've had a few people move here because they've gotten like really great pricing for like small space. And the rail does a pretty good job with packing as much as they can into a small building with small units. So this is the budget play for this part of East Austin. Then you have this building, the Emma Browning, on the other side of airport. It's a little bit more upscale, but does lose out on some of the benefits of walkability along Manor. So I don't like this location as much, but it is a little bit closer to Mueller. And for the sake of this video, I'm going to skip Mueller because it's kind of its own neighborhood experience, and I'll have another video on that to update everyone. So we'll get deeper into East Austin, closer. I don't have anyone leaves there, so this one doesn't really exist to me. You have the Atlas East Side and the Citizen House MLK. Both of these are fine. They're modern. This is more of a location play than anything else. The differences in the building don't really matter, but what does matter is getting north and south from here, because you can just hop on 183 from right here, makes this really convenient. So from here, it'll be, if you work in North Austin but you want to be close to East Austin, then these two buildings could be interesting. And your pricing is going to be really, really good here, like the best of anywhere in East Austin for something modern. So these are going to be budget play buildings with pretty good reviews. You have the Lenox Park. I don't like this location because to get anywhere, you have to get on and off the highway. Whereas these buildings, you don't have to get on the highway to go east and west. Then you have these two Springdale buildings. I think the Reserve might be affordable housing. I'm not forget. But the banks of Springdale have some really good units right along Little Walnut Creek. But again, all of these are going to be more budget plays than anything else. They're all going to give you the same amenities. There's nothing really worth like getting deep into describing. So I'll just skip that one. So that overall is my summary of East Austin and the apartments. If you found this useful, then please reach out to me on tacostreetlocating.com so I can find you your next apartment. Thank you.